अपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेतेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ते च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षमङ्कृद्वयं निगमशाखिशिखाप्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनित्रं विघ्नातिविहितशतधारधुरन्धरन्नः सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. So we continue with the concept of fundamental reality. So here another important topic that we usually see with fundamental reality is understanding our true state of well-being. That is fundamental reality about ourselves. We say, inherently that person's a jovial person. He has jovial means the person who takes things lightly, who can deal with the obstacles that he faces in a jovial manner. That means in a happy manner, who doesn't take that stress too hardly. So like this, so what happens is when we think about well-being, we will also speak about well-being separately, but specifically, there was an experiment conducted. The details will also will be spoken about when we talk about well-being. So in this experiment, what technically happened is there are a bunch of people, subjects were taken, and the population were given certain news as in good and bad, positive, negative, and their mental state was noted. Like for example, somebody got a promotion, somebody met with somebody got a demotion, somebody met with a financial crisis, somebody had some good news coming into their life, etc., etc. Like this, some news were given, which immediately led to a change in their state of well-being. Okay, it can be that their well-being decreased, well-being increased. So well-being practically means it is optimal functioning levels of our mind. When we talk about flourishing, we need to be able to understand when are we going to be when are we able to flourish, when we are able to be keep our presence of mind with respect to whatever is happening in life. So when these kind of news were given to these test subjects, their well-being changed immediately. It increased, decreased, or whatever it may be. But over time, that means not even a huge amount of time, 1 or 2 days, maybe even a week. If it's a huge news, maybe by a week, those changed levels of well-being, finally they came back to the same level of well-being that was existing before the news was given to them, both positive and negative, that is. So which practically means that we already have a set mind of well-being. Any external stimulus that brings about new kind of any enhancement or a decrease in the well-being, the amount of well-being is very temporary in nature. So our fundamental reality of well-being, the true state of well-being, is simply what we have what we have structured our mind to believe in. So for example, if I am a person who is jovial in nature, then any kind of negative influence can change my state of well-being, but in a certain amount of time, over time, what happens is I will reach the same level of thinking again. Even if it is something huge, also I will reach. It may take a longer amount of time, but my if my fundamental orientation of mind is that I am critical by nature, for example, then what happens at that point of time, anything that leads to change in well-being will also have the same effect where I become same critical. That means it leads to a different progression where whatever is the initial nature and whatever is the stimulus that I'm feeding, it will return me to a certain level of well-being that is constant, but it will lead to a progression in the way I process the new information. So to give an example, let us say I'm of a critical mind. I have received some bad news. It led to a decrease in my state of well-being. Then what happened over time, that reduces. So I'm back to my normal state of well-being. But the next news that comes about, it will hit me harder. That means it will lead to a much bigger decrease in my state of well-being, because I have become more critical towards the way I handle that particular stimulus. My response to that stimulus has amplified. So it technically, whatever is my true state of well-being, it remains that way, but my nature and the progression in which I am handling the external stimulus is getting altered because of my fundamental reality. So therefore we need to be a positive person to start with, because of course, when I'm talking about optimism also, it can lead to overconfidence. That also is there, but that also is a negative part. We are talking about extremes over here. Giving an example for a positive person also, that person who gets a negative news with a positive state of mind, state of well-being, it reduces. That means his well-being reduces, but he's able to come back. He's able to return to his original state of well-being. But the next news that comes about, there is a difference in the way he processes the next news. Therefore, we need to cultivate detachment with the way, as soon as possible, with any kind of new information. So understanding our fundamental reality, that is understanding our true state of well-being, is extremely important. So this is another extension of the fundamental reality, how it influences. So there we talked about fundamental reality as a scientific concept and its effect in positive psychology. Here we are talking about, in this video, in this session, we are talking about fundamental reality as a original state of well-being. So the relevance is now in this session where we are talking about a true state of well-being. So that is, and attaining a state of mindfulness, that is another concept. So when we are talking about fundamental reality, we have throttled it down to our original state of mind. So with this, we end the positive psychology session for the 20th shloka. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण मही महिषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।